What's up, dude and dudettes? This is Call Sign Scooter, aka Donovan from the Real Dudes Podcast. Welcome to the YouTube channel. Today I'm not going to be showcasing any indie gaming, or I should say indie video games, but I will be showcasing some indie board games. I've been delving into that a lot recently and figured indie board games need a spotlight as well. So I'll delve into that a little bit in my corner of the podcast channel, I guess I could say. So with that, let's get started. So, do you like tactical games? Do you like strategy games, perhaps with a hint of RPG elements? Do you like tough decisions in your games? Do you like a game where it causes you to think a lot? Well, if that's the case, then GMT Games Fields of Fire is for you. It takes place in 3 different eras of conflict. It will take place in World War II, in Vietnam, and in the Korean conflict. Well, it says it right here at the bottom there. Okay, so those three campaigns. So what's great about Fields of Fire is that each time you play the game, it will be different. Even though the mission setup is practically the same, the way the map generates is random, so your tactics will change. Also, just because the scenario set up the same doesn't mean you'll run into the same enemy forces, so that creates new and different problems that you have to figure out, and that's for every single mission. Okay, and it's a lot of people do get turned away from this game, mostly because there's a lot to track, and perhaps some feel that it's a little too complicated to get into. But hopefully through this series of videos, I will show that once you get the hang of things, it actually flows real nicely, and that all the rules are designed to be very logical and what I like to call it's common sense. So as we get into it, you'll start to see some of the rules make sense as we go through it. And there will be a few times where I will refer back to the rule book just to make sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to. And for those points, I'll pause it and edit that out. But as we go through it, again, you're going to see that while there's a lot to track, again, there's a lot, but it creates a very deep and enjoyable experience. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into our second attempt into Fields of Fire, the second mission. All right, welcome to the table. This is the second scenario of Fields of Fire in the World War II campaigns. I already ran through the mission and failed it, so this is the setup for a second attempt. So real quick, what the situation is, we have the first objective. I have a bazooka team here, but they're under intense fire. So we'll try to get them out of that bad situation. Here we have a squad and a heavy machine gun team that's firing down here. So really important to kind of clear that up a little bit. Then over here toward the left flank, we've got a couple of light machine gun teams that have spawned. So this is going to be really important to try and take out these guys here, because if they decide to shift fire, which they probably will, because this card has a lot of steps on it. So those are our priorities, those two over here. And then right here, we're trying to stage an assault onto the second objective here, right over here. Try and get that taken care of. So I've got elements of a squad that couldn't be refitted and put to full strength. So they're at 2 steps. So that was part of the casualties that we took, or that I took, I should say. And down here in this village, we have basically the entire first platoon just waiting to clear basically these 2 machine gun teams up there. And we can then move them from here to here, try to get to that attack position, support our weapons team, try and get rid of this heavy machine gun team. And to get rid of this heavy machine gun team, first of all, we have an artillery spotter that's in the upper story. We can get into the upper story because over here we have a multi-story right there. So they can observe all the way up here and call in artillery because of their elevated position. And then I just have a squad in the upper story as well, kind of providing fire support into this machine gun team here to try and keep basically a volume of fire to try to infiltrate perhaps somebody in here to infiltrate. And then also back here we have our company EXO with our mortar squad or platoon. I'll say squad. So this mortar squad is in range of at least this team here and potentially this team if we can get somebody to observe it. And we do have an observation team. Technically, we'll try to use the 2nd Platoon HQ here to observe over there just to try and get them out of that position, out of that strong building. And so we have phone lines. So I've traced that from this card to this card to this card, which puts them in contact with the mortar squad because the EXO is there and they can communicate with each other and just basically call for fire up there. Or if for whatever reason this line was broken, technically we could use 2nd Platoon with their field phone here to this 1st Platoon with the field phone with a connection down here. And then we have our company HQ moved up a little bit just in case our phone lines get a little too complex and we need to make sure they're a little closer to everybody, but they're still in contact with battalion since they're adjacent to the staging area, so they'll still activate. So that is the setup. That's the plan. On the left flank, on the right flank over here with 3rd Platoon, I really don't know what I want to do. Probably send scouts into the woods just to get rid of that potential contact so we can fulfill our objective to clear this whole row out. So that's what we've got going on so far. And here we have the setup. This is what everybody has. If you notice, one of my units in the previous mission, our weapons team, they ran out of ammunition. They turned into a fire team, so I used them as scouts to try to push to the 2nd objective, and they became casualties, and we were unable to evacuate them in time. But I had the company 1st Sergeant in the Jeep attempt to do so, but it didn't work out. So we have full ammunition with everybody, seeing as it's a later attempt. We still got our pyrotechnics, which over here, let's see, on the back side, I have crudely written out what we should do. I probably should have updated that. And then, so that's the setup, and we'll get on with turn number 1. Okay, let's go ahead and get started into turn 1. So first off, we're going to skip the HQ event phase, and since this is an offensive mission, we'll just go to the friendly command phase. All right, so we don't have the battalion HQ here, but we do have the company HQ, and they are in contact with battalion. So let's go ahead and see what we get. So 4 commands, we're currently setting at engaged as our contact level. So 4 plus 1 because they're undercover, so that's very important. So they get a total of 5 command points. So let's go ahead and 5 commands allocated. All right, and then for 3 of those, 1, 2, 3. For 3 of those commands, we will activate 1st Platoon, 2nd Platoon, and 3rd Platoon. All right. Do we want to do anything else with the company HQ? No. For now, we'll just go ahead and we'll bank these, save those for later, just in case we need to use them later. All right. So next, we will activate them in order: 1st Platoon, 2nd Platoon, and 3rd Platoon with the commands first before we start doing the commands for each one of them. So let's go ahead and draw. So for 1st Platoon, they're undercover as well in a strong building, so they will receive 4 commands. All right, so let's see, 4 commands are located here. Then 2nd Platoon, they get 5 commands. And then finally, 3rd Platoon, the top left, all right, they get 6 commands to work with, which we'll probably need quite a few of them. All right, so we got all those together. Okay, Now, first things first, we'll say, let's go ahead and spend one command to have the artillery forward observer try and rain down fire right there. Hopefully we can get something done with it. All right, so we'll go ahead and first platoon use one command, and then we will look in our chart here. So we want to call in the 15th Field Artillery. So let's see, the artillery forward observer gets 3 draws. So let's do that. All right, so he called in artillery with 1, and we finish out the rest, 2 and 3. All right, so we got the burst icon here. I got the burst icon, so let's go ahead and rain down some artillery. We'll put that right there as we had planned before. All right, so here we are, pending fire mission marker. We'll go ahead and assign that right there. So that should give us a -5 modifier plus a -2 modifier, which is -7 at the moment. I'm just trying to map that out if we need to call in the mortars as well to increase our odds of getting a hit. So right now they're sitting at +5, so that's -2. And if we add heavy weapons, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. We'll do that. So we'll have also a command for the forward artillery observer from first platoon back down to our EXO to tell our mortar squad to then just start putting some fire down there. So we'll go ahead and spend one more command. All right, one more command, and we'll go ahead and flip this automatic weapons, flip that to heavy weapons, because that's what that little H denotes, heavy weapons. Okay, and then we'll just go ahead and expend 1 ammunition for the mortar, just to make sure we get that out of the way first, so we can continue to track that. All right, so they're gonna be in a world of hurt, so I don't think there's anything that we can do. They can't quite see this machine gun team because they're still hidden. They haven't been spotted yet. And the only person that has line of sight is first or third squad. And can't quite see them. They should be okay with the +5 cover there, so it may not do much. And I don't think we can do much with first platoon. We could probably break down, yeah, because there's cover up there, which they could move in on a general impulse. So let's do this. We're going to use a command from first platoon to break down second squad, break them down, and then we're gonna add a fire team so that they at least have the range to hit that machine gun team if they can spot it, and then also try to clear this potential contact B. Since we're already engaged, we have a good chance of hopefully not contacting anyone there. So just a moment. Let's see if I can grab the fire team. Alright, no, that's not the one I want. Okay, so there we go. We've generated a fire team here, and we'll spend the last command to move them. So we'll just go ahead and get that over here. Put the 0 save commands there for a reminder for myself, and we'll go ahead and move the fire team from here to here and into the woods. In doing so, they will be exposed. So okay, there we go. They'll be exposed. So we need to move them into that cover so that they don't get stuck. All right. Next, let's look at second platoon and what they've got going on. So they have a machine gun team I really don't. I want to move them. I want to move them into the village. But the village is under some intense fire. Really intense. Can't move anybody in there because we're about to call down some artillery, so that's not gonna help. We have the heavy machine gun team and that squad spotted already. And I almost want to use the rifle grenade that first squad has in second platoon to just have another -1, because getting a hit with the grenade is really difficult. Man, I don't know. That's taking too long. So let's go to third platoon. I kind of already know what I want to do with third platoon, and this is going to be a little bit risky, but still, we'll go ahead and spend one command. We're gonna break down over here. We're gonna break down that squad, and we're going to get another fire team. Let's see. All right, here's a fire team. So we're gonna go ahead and get a fire team here, and then we're gonna, use another command to move them from here to the woods. And again, since they moved, they will be exposed. So we'll try to see if we can get them some cover on the general impulse. So they are now exposed. And then we'll try to clear that potential contact A as part of our objective. So really what we're trying to do is clear this row, and that's it. Make sure we have occupation of the primary objective and second objective. Once we have that, we should be sitting pretty. Okay, so that was the move on the right side. So we move them up, and there's really not much else that we can do with third platoon, unfortunately, until we generate whatever this contact is. I want to wait to see what happens here. And also with second platoon, they are second platoon, most of those guys are veterans anyway from the experience points that they got last time. So I don't know, this is a pretty slow opening turn, and I can't do anything with these guys, and I don't want, at least so second platoon will be protected once artillery starts coming down, because then these guys won't have line of sight anywhere else from all the dust and smoke and things. So at least second platoon will stay safe this round, and then probably if we can get a hit, if they can go away, we can then start just sending some of the elements over here, some elements up here, and just have third platoon focus on whatever this is going to be here, if it turns out to be anything at all. And if we can spot this team, we could start moving up elements to try and draw them in a crossfire and get them out of there. Okay, so that's the plan. We won't do anything with second platoon. Second platoon at HQ is a line, so max save in the daytime as a line is 6, so they can just bank those for now. I can't think of anything to do with them. And then third platoon will save these commands for now. And that's it. Not doing anything else. So then it's the staff impulse, so I didn't activate them, but they'll just get automatically 1 here, 1 with the first sergeant, and I'm not going to do anything with the XO of first sergeant as of yet, because the XO is the only one with a radio underneath here. He's the only one with the fuel cell that can call fire with the mortar, so he's going to stay put. All right, so that's the activation segment. So after that, we have, let's see, activation segment. And oh yeah, right, general initiative impulse. So let's do that draw. So general initiative, we'll do the small number, which is a nice 0, so nobody gets to do anything on their own. The squad leaders can't think of anything to do, too much going on, and our scout teams, they can't figure out what to do either. They just were told to go, so they did. Well, that's great. So after the general initiative segment, we can now do the enemy HQ event, which we skip on the first turn anyway. So let's do the enemy activity check. Okay, so I've got my chart ready here for the enemy activity. So typically what I like to do is have it from left to right. So you're supposed to randomly determine which ones, or at least I like to randomly determine. So we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4 as our random number. So let's go ahead and draw. And on the bottom here we have number 4. So the one that activates for number 4 is the first one. So that would be number 1. So what's going on with them? Let's go ahead and look down this chart. So they're not under fire. They're not under fire, but they have open fire placed to PDF. So they're in this. And the what's the defensive hierarchy? That is or the attack is hasty. So under the hasty for lost my place. So hasty here. So we have a random draw of 2. So let's go ahead and do that. So underneath 2 we have 1, which I'm pretty sure. Let's see. Yeah, so we have 1. So let's see. 1, I feel like it should be, yeah, they don't do anything. So they don't do anything. All right, so now we have 3 left. It's still going from left to right, so let's draw the next one for random for number 3, number 1. So that'll be this guy here that's about to get rained on artillery. So what's going on with them? The first that applies is what I like to do here. I feel like that's how it's set out. So they are under fire, so what's going on? So they are under fire. They are under cover, so they are under fire from a different direction than its own primary direction of fire. So this is where things get interesting. So under hasty, we have a random draw of 5. So let's do that now. Oh dear, wrong one. 5, number 1. Well, I know I shuffled these, so I don't know why it's going. Keep going to 1. All right, so number 1 out of 5, they don't do anything. So they are oblivious to the fact that they're about to get rained down on. All right, so next is a heavy machine gun team. Let's do that. So out of, well, not a heavy machine gun team, so out of 2, 2. So we skip over this HMG team, and this is now number 2. So what are they doing? Well, they've placed a PDF, and they're currently not under fire. So we're doing this one again under hasty. So on a draw of this 2, 1. So for 1, they don't do anything at all. So they just keep doing what they're doing. Last one is a heavy machine gun team. So this is a little different. Maybe. So out of ammo markers, so they still got ammo. And anything else? Yeah, here we go. A with the little arrow, which is on a tripod, which that's what this little arrow is. It means it's on a tripod. So there we go. So A, arrow, that's open, fire, or place of primary direction of fire, PDF. So out of 3 now, on a hasty in the middle, let's see what happens. So out of 3, 1, okay, great. So I think they do nothing, because otherwise they would try to concentrate fire, and that would be a very, very bad thing. All right, so that's all the enemy checks that we've quickly gone through. Not too terrible, nothing too surprising. So what's next on our charts? We've done enemy activity check, mutual capture and retreat phase, which really none of this applies right now. We don't have any vehicles that need to be activated. The Jeep is an exception. We don't need to activate that. It just needs to be activated under the first sergeant, and then he can do whatever he wants to with the Jeep. All right, so the mutual combat phase, before we do that, we update the fire missions. So now, this is where the fun begins, so awesome. Now, we've got our shells coming down. So we flip that. Next, let's see. Now we can evaluate the potential contacts. So there are only 2 units with potential contacts on them. So again, we're going to randomize between 1 and 2, left to right, 1 and 2. All right, so out of 2, we have 2. So potential contact A is first. So let's see. On our player aid, we have this here. So for potential contact of A out of engage, we have a draw of 5, and we're just looking for the contact text. So 1, 2, 3. We got contact, and we finish it out for 5. All right, so we got contact in that area. So I got that in the discard pile. All right, so let's figure out what kind of contact it is first of all. So we need to figure out what it is. So let's move this over here. So it's a potential contact A. Oops, potential contact A. So let's see, on a draw of 10, let's see what happens. So let's see, let's find 10. So it'd be 8. All right, so 8, that is a patrol, which I'm okay with. Why? Because typically patrols don't have cover and they're exposed and they're automatically spotted anyway. So these guys who are exposed as well, they should have at least a free shot on the patrol. And normally it's a squad as well. So let's see. Where is my package chart? I think I may have moved it up. Nope. Here we go, force packages. So we need German force packages, and we're looking for the patrol. So here we go. So patrol, do they place a volume of fire and or PDF? Nope, which is awesome. Are they spotted? Yes, which is again awesome. They'll be at max line of sight, but we don't know where yet. So here we go. See, squad with an exposed marker. So let's go ahead and set that up. Well, actually, yeah, let me grab the counters first, and then we can extend the map. All right. All right, welcome back. So here we go. So for this mission, we don't randomly draw for squads. For a select few missions, you can randomly draw from a cup and hopefully draw not one of these guys because they have an automatic weapons volume of fire. So that's the squad that we're gonna have. That's what generated. Now we're gonna see where it gets placed. So we're gonna check this first. So out of 10, again, 10 of 1, which that seems to be the favorite number of the day. So it's per package table placement, which just they said at max line of sight, which I interpret as in front of them at max line of sight. So we are going to draw a terrain card, and this is what we get: an orchard and a grove. So that goes up there, and line of sight stops into that card, so there we go. So now we're gonna get our squad here, and they are now exposed. They're spotted by these guys. So as they're walking into the woods, they peek through the other side and see an orchard. This squad walking through, completely unaware of their presence. So the leader then orders everybody in that squad, about 4 guys, to start firing. So this happens automatically when they're spotted. So what we need is a primary direction of fire. All right, so we got that. Yeah, I don't have trays. All right, so primary direction of fire going this way. And then we need a small arms. Let me just make sure. Yeah, so small arms for that squad there. So let's go ahead and see if we can grab that real quick. Yeah, all right, there you go. So, small arms. So that's what happens there. And then this potential contact goes away. So we've cleared that row. And then last is this potential contact B. So we're still at engaged, and for B, for engaged, we only draw 3 cards, so hopefully we just clear it, because there's only one place for it to generate, so which is kind of terrible. And what do you know, very first card is a contact, so then we get rid of the rest of these. And another contact, so. Okay, well, It's not going as well as I wanted to. All right, so potential contact B, I do not like the looks of, especially with the number ones with artillery. I really hope this. Okay. And then we have a reshuffle action deck, so we're gonna reshuffle. But since it's been generated, we have to go through and figure out what it is first before we reshuffle. So at a 10, it's a 9. So a 9, well, looks like we're getting very fortunate. It is a patrol. So I'm gonna go ahead and reshuffle. I'm gonna get the counter for the patrol, and then we'll generate the extension of the map, because there's really one place that it can generate, which is front left of their line of sight, since packages can't generate anywhere where there's already a unit. So I'll be back soon. All right, so I've got the counter, and also I think I made a goof. So the mortar plus the incoming, it doesn't quite matter, so I may have wasted ammunition there. So it's probably just going to use the lowest net combat modifier, the NCM of -5, because this is lumped in with the heavy weapons as well. So whichever one's lower, which is going to be the incoming, I should have just saved it unless it didn't work. However, the crossfire does add into the -5, so it will be -6 total. But it's only going to come out to a -1, which I'm not that happy about, because knowing how well I draw and how well my fortunes are in this game, it'll probably either end up being a miss, or it'll probably end up getting them pinned down, at best case scenario in my mind. So if they get pinned, we can still kind of assault that position if we need to. So that's the plan for that. Okay, now coming back over here, remember we have a patrol. So here's the patrol, and I've got everything ready to go. So the patrol, I'm probably gonna do some fudgery. I'm not gonna draw for a placement, because again, there's only one place to put it. And the only place to put the patrol is over here, and now generated some woods. So let's go ahead and put that squad out here. They are exposed, and we're gonna go ahead and put our primary direction of fire. So they've automatically opened fire, and it's going to be small arms. So this probably isn't going to be much of anything, because that turns out to be a net combat value of 0. So that probably won't mean much. Over here though in the orchard, we may get some action, but I don't know. Let's keep hope alive, I suppose. All right. So we've evaluated our potential contacts here. So after we evaluate the potential contacts, we go to the combat effects segment, which all of this is determined as simultaneous. So let's see how this goes. I typically like to resolve the enemy fire first, and then go on to all of the allied cards. So to begin, we have, let's see, how many is that? 1, 2, 3 cards that have a volume of fire on. So let's go ahead and draw for that. So out of 3, we're going to start with number 1, starting from the left. Excuse me, I almost said right. So here we have a net combat modifier of 0, because we have an exposed of -2, a cover of +2, as you can see at the top left, and then our small arms fire that's being generated is just a 0. So all in all, that's a 0. Let's draw and see what happens at a 0. So that is a pin effect, which, that's not bad. So we can just change that from exposed to pin down, and that's really it. That's all that happens. All right, 2 left. So out of 2, we'll go with number 2. So the other patrol that we have generated up here with a net, pretty much a net combat value of -1. As you can see, -2 for being exposed, +1 goes up to -1, and then again 0 for small arms fire. So -1 it is. So what do we get with -1? Ayo, we've got a hit. So once we get a hit, we draw 1 more card, and we see the hit effects. So the hit effect for a line, which is kind of stupid, is just a fire team. That's all that generates is a fire team. So they basically lose cohesion up here. So that gets flipped over to a 2-step. Everybody becomes pinned here, and then we need to grab a fire team that's separate from the squad. So that's all that happens there. And let's see if I can manage to grab a fire team out of here. So let's see, just kind of, that's more appropriate. Oh well, this is the only thing I can come up with. So here we go. A fire team, a rifle fire team. We'll go ahead and place that there for now. I may swap this out because this is technically a mortar on the other side. So probably get something else, but just to keep everything going. All right, so the last thing here is this crazy mess. All right, so we have a +2/+3 for the strong building that they've taken cover in. So that's a +5. So with a -5 of the incoming, that takes it down to 0, and then a -1 because they're caught in a crossfire from these two. Which this has a machine gun, which also has ammo. So this goes from 4 down to 3 because they're using about 100 rounds of ammo. And let's go ahead and draw for -1. Hopefully we can get the fortunate as well. And huzzah! All right, great. So we have another hit. That's good. They too are a line. And so for a line, we have 2 paralyzed, which in this case, there's only 1 step, so only 1 gets paralyzed. So this little machine gun team here gets removed. And let's see, where are my limited action teams here? Okay. So that's not bad. If we can move up quickly and capture them, we can. There you go. So they're paralyzed. So they're basically freaking out and ready to get out, which you probably should for having mortars and a 105 battery raining down on you. And then also, probably should put down that they are also pinned. So if I can grab this. All right, so they are pinned down as well. And yeah, we want to move real quick, and we can try and capture them, get inside that building, and we'll continue on. All right, so that's all the Germans that have volumes of fire on their cards. So let's go ahead and resolve the ones that are for our weapons team up here, and then also our squad here that's holed up in a farm. All right, so out of 2, starting from left to right, go ahead and draw. So 2, it's 2. So that's our little lonely bazooka team, which they did what they're supposed to, capture the objective, but now they've run into a whole lot of mess. All right, so what do we got here? So it's a +6 for the cover in the village, in the strong building, and then the crossfire of -1 with the heavy weapons of -3, which -4. So that's a +2, which should be okay. At worst, it'll be a hit because there are some of those. Let's see, +2. As I said, that's how fortunate we are. So even with all that cover, the machine gun team and the squad somehow gets them at a +1 or a +2. Okay, so what's the hit? This bazooka team, I can't remember if they were promoted or not. So let's figure out what the 3rd bazooka team is. All right, so 3rd platoon, weapons bazooka, that's a veteran. I was gonna have them try to use a few rounds on them if I could get a general initiative, but that didn't work out. All right, so for the hit for a veteran, let's see. Veteran, they are paralyzed. All right, that's all right. I'm not worried about that too much. At least they're not a casualty, so I don't want to have to replace them. However, they would get downgraded down to a green if we don't rally them before this mission is over. So they're paralyzed. These guys, I'm going to put them over here for reference as an eliminated unit, and they too will be pinned down, because after every hit, it automatically generates a pin. So that happened. And then we're gonna go ahead and mark off. We're gonna mark off ammo for each of the machine gun teams. So 1, 1, 1, and then we'll add the other 2 squads I generated already. And then for the 1, I have to do a fire team, and then the machine gun team that we took out was number 5, this one. And so that one, that becomes a paralyzed team. And again, this is all simultaneous, so I'm gonna take away this guy's line of sight once this combat effects is over, and won't be able to see through it until the next turn. All right, so all those guys, they started to do fire. We got that. All right, so the last one here that we need to resolve for is our squad in the farm. So it's only a modest -1 automatic weapons, no crossfire needed. Yeah, I did the crossfire for that one. So no crossfire needed, so that's a +4 cover. I've seen a hit on a +4. So let's see what happens on a +4. Pin down. See, it was pretty close, but a +4 pin, which isn't great. And I don't know. This is just how this game runs. I mean, you would think that it would be a nice miss, but no. Where are they? They're here, right? So they're pinned down, so they are firing up here. So this doesn't quite matter for an all pinned, because not everybody's only all pinned on this one, but we've got fire coming from here as well, which is, again, the lowest is a -1 for the automatic weapons for the machine gun team. So it won't change anything there, at least as of yet. I'll have to double check. Okay, so that's the combat effects. Again, that was all simultaneous. All that happened at once. Lots of stuff going on. So we did all that, and we can adjust the volume of fire in PDF as needed. So in this case, this PDF is no longer existent. They're paralyzed. They can't do anything. Crossfire is still generated with the heavy machine guns team wreaking havoc on the village. So we really need to get that machine gun just taken out as quickly as possible, and then we'll see what we can do on turn 2. All right, so after the combat effects, we have the cleanup phase. So we're gonna remove all of the exposed markers that were generated, which now is only 2. Just a quick glance. I think, yeah, that's only 2. Everybody else got pinned down. And then we don't need to evacuate anybody. There's no casualties, and it's not a defensive mission, so that's it. We now go from turn 1 to turn 2. All right, not too bad. That's turn 1 of Fields of Fire. It wasn't too bad, actually. The worst part of it was, unfortunately, both potential contacts A and B, they generated something, and that created more problems, but it's all right. I think we have it under control, and my company will perform well, as you'll see in turns 2 through 5. So in line with that, I do have turns 2 through 5 already recorded and currently going through editing at the moment. So we'll try to get that out as quickly as I can. So that's already done. Fields of Fire is no longer on the table. I had to take it off for things like, eating on it and stuff. So it's off the table, and it'll be returned back to the table as quickly as I can to wrap up that mission. It shouldn't take that long at all anyway. The other thing that's going on is I've already filmed a couple of other things as well. Israeli Air Force Leader by Dan Versen Games. I've done a few missions on that, filmed that as well, so that's currently in the process of editing and getting that through, up and uploaded. Can't think of anything else besides that. And then also I'll be getting more and more games on the table. Games like various games throughout the collection I'll be pulling out and putting on the table, filming real quick and swapping them out. Continue on just to get the variety going. And if there seems to be a particular game that people want to see, I'll try to film that as much as I can and get those out as quick as I can. Now the other thing is there might be a slight break in uploading turns 2 through 5 because there's a project coming up that I'm going to be getting into real soon, and it should be uploaded hopefully between September 17th and September 20th. And if you're any kind of World War II history buff, you know exactly what those dates are and what it means. So I'll be trying to get that done and uploaded, and then I'll start getting things like Fields of Fire Turn 2 all ready to go. And hopefully those episodes or those turns will be a lot shorter because there's not as much planning as it was in this one, just trying to get everything done. So turn 2 goes a lot faster, and so on and so forth, turn 3, 4, and 5. Because again, the game flow is pretty quick. It's just when you get to the planning phase, when you spin those command points, that's where you take them. It's because that's where you take the most time, just spinning the commands and figuring out what exactly you want to do and solidifying that plan. So those episodes will be a lot faster. Alright, I guess that's it. You can follow us on Twitter at RealDudesPod, and you can follow us, I think we're on Facebook as well, I can't remember. Facebook, and we have an Instagram as well, same tag. And then you can follow me at CallSignScooter. Alright, and as always, have a rad day.